Kingdom of Sin, the false hope, the oasis. I set this down not as a testament to glory, but as a record of our first failure. We believed the great flood would scour the world clean of Cain's corruption and the towering wickedness of the Nephilim. We were fools. The waters did not cleanse the earth, they merely drowned it in rot. When the ark finally lurched to a halt, it was not on a mountaintop, but stuck fast in a vast, sprawling mire. The air was thick with sulphur, a stench so profound it felt like the exhalation of a dying god. For 5 days we hacked through an Amazonian nightmare of twisted roots and black sludge, the mud clinging to us like tar. The short-lived children wept constantly, their spirits broken by the suffocating humidity. I am of the line of Seth. My blood possesses the old vitality, yet even I felt the oppressive weight of that place trying to pull me under. On the 6th day, the swamp gave way to something worse. The mud dried into an endless, cracked seabed of salty silt. It was a desert without a sun. The sky remained a bruised, muggy overcast, trapping the moisture tight against the ground, and the mist began to rise. It was not yet the howling darkness my descendants would know, but a strange, unpredictable vapor that moved like slow ocean waves across the dry seabed, distorting the horizon and confusing our path. We walked in circles for weeks. The only comfort was a strange sensation, a distant, divine warmth on the back of the neck, like the feeling of being watched over by a parent who has locked you out of the house for your own good. We lost many. My own son, he was strong, a royal like me, but he was still only a boy. The journey was too grueling. The lack of clean water, the ceaseless walking through the oppressive dampness his body simply gave out. I carried him for the last 3 days, feeling his terrible heat fade into cold, dead weight against my chest. I buried him in the salt flats on the 35th day. By the 40th day, we were hollowed out. We made a miserable camp in the lee of a jagged rock formation. The tension broke when Elias and Joram, 2 commoners whose families were starving, began shoving each other over a heel of hardtack. I watched them grapple in the dust with zero emotion. I had a ration left, wrapped in an oily cloth. I did not want it. I had nothing left to preserve myself for. I walked over, pulled them apart, and pressed the food into Elias's hand. I did it not out of charity, but pity. They still had burdens to carry. I was empty. I moved away to set up my solitary sleeping mat, wishing only to fade into the silt. That is when I saw him. A traveller, hunched against the damp air, clad in simple grey robes, hooded against the mist. He seemed no different than any of us, worn down by the journey. I have no food left, I told him, my voice cracking from disuse. But the ground here is dry enough to sleep. The traveller did not move toward the spot I indicated. He stood still, watching the fog roll past his ankles. You provide for them, even when you have nothing. His voice was soft, respectful, like a younger brother speaking to an elder. Yet your heart curses the provider. Because he watched my son die in the mud and did nothing, I spat back, the anger flaring momentarily through my exhaustion. He is silent. The traveller turned his hooded head toward me. The softness left his voice, replaced by a sudden, deep vibration of warning. Do not mistake silence for absence, son of Seth. He raised a hand from beneath his cloak, pointing toward the massive, jagged boulder we were camped beside. He said nothing more. When I looked back a moment later, the grey traveller was gone, swallowed by the shifting mist. Driven by a numb curiosity, I rounded the great boulder. I stopped, stunned, The air changed instantly. Behind the rock lay a hidden depression in the landscape, shielded from the salt winds, palm trees, green scrub brush. And in the center, the shimmering reflection of a watering hole. It was practical relief first. Water meant life. The others rushed past me, crying out in hoarse joy, throwing themselves at the pool. I did not run. As I crossed the invisible threshold into the valley, a sudden pressure built behind my eyes. My nose began to bleed, a sharp red trickle against the grey dust on my skin. The air here was too pure, too rich after 40 days of breathing rot. It made my head pound. While the others celebrated the miracle, I fell to my knees in the green grass. I looked at the water, but saw only the salt desert stretching out behind us. My boy was out there, buried in the cold silt. God had saved me, but he had let my world die. I knew then, as the blood dripped onto my hands, that this place was not salvation. It was more of a gilded cage where we would hide, terrified of the world outside, nursing our grief until we forgot how to fight.